Brian Steele is now being held in contempt. And listen, y'all, I told y'all it was going to be intense. The words of the renowned criminal defense lawyer F. Lee Bailey, may he rest in peace. He said, courtroom drama makes great theater every day of the week. And you better believe, y'all, I don't care what Hollywood writing about. You can't get a screenwriter. You can't get a director, a producer. I don't care. You can't make up what's unfolding right before your eyes this week in the ATL.
Call your first witness. I got Kenneth Willis. He bought his business. He gon' take it the distance. Listen, he giving gaming, believing high level represent. Call your first witness. Yeah, call your first witness.
Griff has been paid for this endorsement.
Where you at, beautiful people? How you doing? How you living? How life treating you? You already know it's your boy K. Will. Welcome to another episode of Call Your First Witness. I'm so happy to be here. So happy you're tuning in. I got a big show for you. I am excited. I'm ready to bring it. You already know. We talking about the Young Thug trial. It's been a week. Come on, man. I couldn't get to the mic fast enough, y'all. It's been a week for me too. Real busy. But you know what? I'm kind of glad it happened like this because a lot didn't happen last Friday. A lot didn't happen Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Every day it was on and popping. You already know. Where do we begin? We done got Brian Steele sent to the holding tank by Judge Glanville. Judge Glanville trying to figure out who's the mole, who leaked the information in a private meeting room with Kenneth Copeland. You got Ashley Merchant. If you don't know her name, she was one of the lead attorneys that represented Trump's co-defendant in an election interference case that was happening in the ATL. All right. If you haven't been following me, check out my episode 4 and 5. I think it was 4 when I talked about the art of creating a hot mess. Ashley Merchant was front and center, man, creating that hot mess as a criminal defense attorney for her client, Michael Rome. Again, one of the co-defendants for Trump. So she's no stranger to Atlanta. She's no stranger to the courtroom. It's a small community. Criminal defense lawyers, it's a small community. And so she in the same courtroom representing Brian Steele. Yeah, Brian Steele done lawyered up. It's been one of those weeks. What else? You got a lawyer who emerged into the case representing Kenneth Copeland, was hired and fired in the same moment, y'all. All this happened in 1 week. And let's not forget Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland is on the stand and he's trying to get by moment by moment. Can I break it down? Y'all, so before I jump into, because the big story, we started off Monday morning. Big story. Fireworks. But I want to back it up for a second and kind of set the stage because let's remember how the trial ended last week. If you didn't catch it, it's all good. That's why you're tuning into me. I'm here to break it down. I'm here to look at the nuances. They got a lot of talking heads on TV, on social media, all that good stuff. But what I like to do is take my time and watch the trial, right? Watch as much as I can to make sure I don't miss all the intricate details, y'all. So that's what you get from me. I ain't gonna lie, Monday when things popped off and Brian Steele was sent to the holding tank by Judge Glanville, I wanted to go live. But I can't go live on YouTube, y'all, and I'm gonna need some help from y'all with that. I'm gonna need more subscribers, you dig? Let folks know about me, because I ain't gonna lie, Monday when things popped off and Brian Steele was sent to the holding pen, I just had that urge to go live, but I'm kind of happy that I had time to really watch things unfold. I told y'all, those of you who follow me, if you remember episode 14, I told y'all we were venturing into the killing of Donovan Thomas. I told y'all it was going to be hot and heavy. I told y'all it was going to be intense. No, I'm not Nostradamus. No, I'm not a prophet. No, I'm not a fortune teller. But I had a feeling that things were going to get hot and heavy. Right? I told you, buckle up your seatbelt. I was going to be at the edge of my seat. And y'all, I ain't going to lie, I could not have dreamed that this week would unfold the way it did. I mean, it's crazy, y'all. I mean, you got, and listen, let's not forget, Kenneth Copeland is on the stand, right? Kenneth Copeland, after the killing of Donovan Thomas on January 10, 2015, Kenneth Copeland was giving statements to law enforcement. I think he had one as early as January 11th. That was just one interview, y'all. Kenneth Copeland sat down with law enforcement so many times, I can't even keep up with the amount of times he sat down with them. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's a lot. We are seeing a lot of interviews happen shortly after the murder and even months later. I think I saw an interview way in June of 2015, June or July of 2015, right? So I told you he was gonna be an essential witness for the state. And one of the reasons they questioned him about that murder, and you better believe he implicated a multitude of individuals that were responsible for the death of Donovan Thomas. And you got some of the defendants that are on trial right now, i.e. DeMonte Kendrick, i.e. Shannon Stillwell, and i.e. Young Thug, right? And that's why this component of the trial is so important. But I need to set the stage for y'all because Friday, the state called Kenneth Copeland to the stand. And I want y'all to follow me because when Kenneth Copeland took the stand to testify, he had representation. A lawyer by the name of Jonathan Melnick. Pay close attention to this name, all right? We're going to come back to Mr. Melnick. But as Kenneth Copeland takes the stand, your boy gets on the stand and tells the state, guess what? I plead the fifth. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But see, look, bruh, it ain't that easy, right? You can't just get on the stand and say, I plead the fifth and think you're going to be good. It don't work like that. You understand? And so when Kenneth Copeland that last Friday say, I plead the fifth, the judge say, oh yeah, that's cool. We understand that. But guess what? The state granted you immunity. So you can answer that question. Yeah, don't worry about it. We understand you don't want to incriminate yourself. We get it. The state granted you immunity. There's use immunity and transactional immunity. Now, the state granted Kenneth Copeland use immunity. Essentially what it means is, listen, the state cannot use your testimony against you to prosecute you for a crime, right? That's use immunity. But what they can do is use evidence from an independent source to prosecute you if they wanted to, right? A lot of times they may not even want to, right? The alternative is transactional immunity. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that, but basically what that means is, listen, for any crime you may have committed as a result of your testimony, we can't prosecute you. Right? Whatever transaction you committed based on your testimony, you bulletproof. We can't touch you. Right? So the state granted Kenneth Copeland use immunity. So the judge is telling them, listen, that's cool. You could go ahead and answer those questions the state got for you. And so Kenneth Copeland decided not to answer those questions. Now, that was last Friday. The judge said, okay, because you're not going to answer the state's questions, I'm going to hold you in contempt. The penalty is you spend the entire weekend in jail. Now, that's how Friday ended. Now, I want y'all to understand, y'all, okay, so that's a long weekend for Kenneth Copeland. But then I want to fast forward you to Monday morning. Think about Monday morning. It's fresh. You dig? Maybe had a long weekend, maybe not. Maybe the lawyers were grinding. I don't know. Maybe they took a break. I don't know. But Monday morning, normally you're fresh. You're ready to go. You probably worked out over the weekend, went to church. I don't know. But Monday morning, you were fresh. It's the beginning of the week. You ready to go. You got all your notebooks spread out, your computers. You ready to go. Now, imagine the defense lawyers, they in court. It's about 8:30. Right? They on time. Probably some of them, maybe not all of them, but probably some of them on time, 8:30 sharp, they there. And then all of a sudden that clock hits 8:45. They don't see the judge. They don't see the deputies. They don't see any of the prosecutors. What's going on? 9 o'clock come. You don't see nobody. All you see is the defendants and the defense lawyers. At that point, you kind of scratching your head like, what's going on? The judge military, so he normally on time. There's a lot of things he can't control, but he could at least be on time. And so it's 9, 10 o'clock, 10 in the morning. Defense lawyers at this point, they know something up. Right? What's going on? Who's going to be the state's first witness? Because remember, Kenneth Copeland said he wasn't testifying and he was held in contempt, had to serve jail time. So what's going on? By the time it's 11 o'clock, the judge walks in the courtroom, the state walks in the courtroom, the deputies walk in the courtroom, the jury's now in the courtroom. And so the judge is like, state, call your next witness. Yeah. And guess who the state called? Your Honor, we would like to call Kenneth Copeland back to the stand. Time out. Right? Defense lawyers like, time out. Hold up. Kenneth Copeland, just last Friday, Kenneth Copeland saying he plead the fifth. He not testifying. He was sanctioned to jail and not a state bringing him back. All right. And so as Kenneth Copeland gets on the stand, you don't hear I plead the fifth anymore. And so ADA Simone Hilton is asking Kenneth Copeland's questions. And so you're getting a dialogue between Miss Hilton and Kenneth Copeland. And then at some point, some break, some comfort break for the jury or whatever, before Miss Hilton starts back to finish her direct examination of Kenneth Copeland, Brian Steele takes the podium. All right. A lot of y'all saw this. Brian Steele takes the podium and says, Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to the court. I would like to move for a mistrial. Judge Glanville is like, Mr. Steele, what are your grounds for mistrial? Your Honor, I have reason to believe that Your Honor, Miss Love, Miss Hilton, Kenneth Copeland were all in a meeting outside of the presence of all the defense lawyers and the defendants. Judge looking baffled. Yes, Judge. And Brian Steele goes further and says, Judge, I believe that was an inappropriate meeting. It runs afoul of the law. It denies Mr. Williams' right to a fair trial. We have reason to believe that Mr. Copeland was coerced in that meeting. He said, Judge, we were here 8:30, 9 o'clock. We didn't hear anybody. We didn't start court until 11 o'clock. And we realized y'all was somewhere shoo-shooing in a private room somewhere talking to Kenneth Copeland, who was already sworn in last Friday. What y'all doing like that? What's so important that y'all need to talk without the presence of myself and any other lawyers and the defendants in this case? And Brian Steele goes into the specifics saying, listen, and what was said at that meeting is Kenneth Copeland, if you don't testify, not only will you lose a weekend, but you could lose every day we are in trial for this particular case. And we already know this case is a never-ending story. And so, and Brian Steele got more details. He said, not only that, Ms. Hilton advised Kenneth Copeland, if you don't testify, not only you'll be in jail for the extent of this trial, but we got a whole bunch of other defendants in this case that are not on trial. And you will stay in jail until their trial is completed. This going on in this meeting room, I don't know if it was in the judge's chambers. I don't know if it was in the side room. I don't know if it was outside somewhere in a parking lot. I don't know where this meeting occurred. But what I do know is Brian Steele knows about the meeting and he got specific details. And so Judge Glanville got this perplexed look on his face. And he's not too concerned about Mr. Steele's concerns and his arguments that he's saying this is an unfair trial and it appears that the judge is biased. He's not too much concerned about that. What he is concerned about is, Mr. Steele, where did you get your information from? Yeah. Who's your source? Right? Right? Who's the mole? I need to understand, because the judge saying, listen, Brian, you weren't there. Yeah, unless you were eavesdropping or somebody had to tell you what was communicated in that meeting, and I believe that was inappropriate. Judge Glanville saying this was an ex parte meeting, meaning it was a meeting between the DA, the judge, and Kenneth Copeland. Now, I want y'all to understand there was also somebody else in that room. Kenneth Copeland's lawyer was in that room. Now, remember, I told you Kenneth Copeland had counsel. Kenneth Copeland had counsel with him last Friday. His name is Jonathan Melnick. All right. Jonathan Melnick last Friday let the judge know he represented Kenneth Copeland, and the state was sort of insinuating that Jonathan Melnick was not really representing Kenneth Copeland, but it almost seemed like he was representing the other co-defendants. Because Adrian Love was saying, listen, this was on Friday. Adrian Love was saying, hold up. We thought we were on the same page with Kenneth Copeland. All of a sudden, Kenneth Copeland is pleading the fifth. Leading up into his testimony, we had reason to believe that Kenneth Copeland didn't have a problem with testifying. But now you got Jonathan Melnick on the record saying, hold up, judge. None of the DAs reached out to me. And so they talking to my client without my presence. Yes, my client has representation. Yes, my client does plead the fifth. And so Jonathan Melnick is up in arms on the record. And now he's mad because Adrian Love is insinuating that Melnick is trying to help out the other defendants. That's why he don't want his client, Kenneth Copeland, to talk. Right? That's what Adrian Love is insinuating. So you got Mr. Melnick up in arms saying, Your Honor, I came in courtroom. I don't care about all these defendants. No disrespect to them. No disrespect to their lawyers. But I'm only here to represent Kenneth Copeland. I only care about his interests. But I need y'all to understand, come Monday morning, Jonathan Melnick was not present to represent Kenneth Copeland in that private meeting. Yeah. Hold up, bro. What happened? Friday, you were up in arms. You were advocating zealously on behalf of Mr. Copeland. Come Monday morning in a private room, where you at, dog? A lady by the name of Miss Bumpus. I didn't get her first name. I'm still trying to figure out who that is. She had on green. Some of you saw her, an African-American woman, maybe in her late 20s, early 30s. She was in that room. And so why I think it's critical for us to understand she was in that room as opposed to Jonathan Melnick, you got to ask your question, what happened? And so when Judge Glanville is asking, these are the nuances, y'all. These are the things that you may not pick up from a lot of talking heads. Judge Glanville was asking Brian Steele, who did you get your information? Then he starts saying, well, there were only a few people in the room. Adrian Love was in the room. Miss Hilton was in the room. Some deputies were in the room. Of course, I was in the room. Kenneth Copeland was in the room, and his attorney. And that was Miss Bumpus. So at that time, Judge Glanville was starting to imply that Brian Steele may have received the information from Miss Bumpus. And so, of course, Brian Steele like, I can't tell you that information. A lot of you heard this already. I can't tell you that information. But if you picked up on it, Judge Glanville is referring to that potential source as a female, because he has reason to believe it got to come from Ms. Bumpus. Judge probably thinking the only other person from my staff was the court reporter. And so the judge is really interested about how that information leaked. And Brian Steele, like a G, is saying, Judge, I can't tell you that information. It's confidential. It's going to run afoul of attorney-client privilege. Judge keeps saying, no, you need to tell me. If you don't tell me, I'm going to hold you in contempt. Hold up, Judge Glanville. Hold up now. You must don't know how Brian Steele built. See, there's some lawyers who, man, you can't, that's not threatening us. Contempt is like a badge of honor. If I'm representing my client to the fullest, You understand? And I know I'm firm in my position. I'm confident, and I got to protect my client's interests, which come before everybody else in this courtroom. Your threat that you going to put me in jail because I'm not giving you the information that you want me to reveal the source? Man, you're not going to get that from me. That little threat you have, if you got to put me in a holding tank, you just going to have to put me in a holding tank. Every lawyer ain't built that way. I'm not going to lie. There are a lot of lawyers who, if they heard that, they would have just said, Judge, I submitted to you in an email. Judge, can I not go on the record and say it? Can I at least send you an email or text, something? But Brian Steele is basically saying, I can't give you that, Judge. Hold up now. You want me to reveal my source? Nah, because whoever that person is, we already know Judge Glanville gonna come down on them, whether it's a form of a sanction. If it's somebody from his staff, they fired, right? If it's someone from the DA's office, that's gonna be a bar complaint. If it's a defense lawyer, Ms. Bumpus, that's gonna be a bar complaint. And so I want y'all to pay attention because Ms. Bumpus, you may have realized, got fired. She got fired by Kenneth Copeland. All right, because remember, Kenneth Copeland was initially represented by Mr. Melnick. Mr. Melnick, where you at, bruh? Turns out Mr. Melnick on vacation. So while Kenneth Copeland is in that meeting, right, with his new attorney, Jonathan Melnick on a plane somewhere headed to Jamaica. Wheels up. Thank you for choosing American Airlines. Doom. Hold up, dog. Hold up. He didn't touch down in Jamaica, y'all. He had a Sandals resort. Hold up, bro. You got to get the jerk chicken before you get to that resort, dog. Bro, what you doing? Your client is a key witness in trial, in jeopardy. Just served the whole weekend in jail. And you somewhere playing beach volleyball? You eating ice cream all day in Jamaica somewhere. Everything I read, man. The fish is fresh. Dog, where they do that at, bro? What kind of lawyer is that? And so you got Miss Bumpus in there. Miss Bumpus trying to get off the case. He said, Judge, I want to file my motion to withdraw. Kenneth Copeland on the stand said, hold up, before you do that, before you say all that, you're fired. You're fired. Right? So this is a cautionary tale because Ms. Bumpus gets on the stand and say, listen, Judge, I wasn't even hired by Mr. Copeland. I was just standing in for Mr. Melnick to be efficient. I wasn't really Mr. Copeland's attorney. And so I'm trying to get off this case because I don't know what happened in that meeting room, but apparently Kenneth Copeland and Ms. Bumpus didn't see eye to eye because he got on the stand and said, before you file that motion to withdraw, let me go ahead and get the satisfaction in saying you're fired, Donald Trump style. No, don't steal my thunder and say I want to get off the case. Let me fire you first. But to my young lawyers, this is a cautionary tale because Ms. Bumpus, and I'm not coming down on her, but I believe that Ms. Bumpus jumped on the case, probably got paid a little bit just to stand in for Mr. Melnick because what I discovered is Mr. Melnick had some non-refundable flight tickets, and that's his reason for not being there Monday morning representing his client. But the cautionary tale is, Ms. Bumpus, you have to make sure you know what you in there for. Yeah. So you got to be clear on the nature of that representation. Even if you standing in, lawyer might tell you, listen, you want to make a couple of $100 and just stand in for me. It's going to be quick. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. No. Ain't nothing 1, 2, 3 on the record. If you get on the record and say, Your Honor, may it please the court, I'm Kenneth Willis on behalf of Jane Doe. Ain't nothing 1, 2, 3, one and done. Nah. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. It remind me of one of my boys called me up. He in a bind. He can't get to New Orleans. He's like, Kenneth, I need you to stand in for one of my boys. Yeah, he in court right now. I need you to go stand in court for me. A guy I grew up with, he won't plea. He won't plead guilty. I just need you to stand in court for him. I'm like, hold up, little brother. You talking about he won't plead guilty? Did you get discovery? Meaning, did you get all the evidence that the state will use against him? Did you get an opportunity to review it? He said, no, I ain't do that, man. It's just a friend. You know, I'm caught up somewhere. I can't make it to New Orleans. I just need you to stand in for him. I'm like, wait. So he pleading guilty and you don't know the facts of the case? You don't know the evidence against your client? And so I'm asking all these questions. Why? Because to you, my fellow lawyer, it might be 1, 2, 3. To me, I'm like, if I'm going to put my name attached to this, I got to make sure I do my due diligence. You see, ain't nothing 1, 2, 3. And so turns out, I said, man, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you, bruh. I'm not finna advise this man to plead guilty, and I ain't even see the evidence that the state gonna use against him. I'm not doing that, because yeah, he could plead guilty, but what if they don't have a case against him? We're not doing that. We're not pleading guilty if the state don't have solid evidence. Nah, not me. I'm not being attached to that, man. It's like that, there's an ad. I don't even know what city, what lawyer, but there's an ad with a lawyer's picture next to it. And it says, just because you did it, don't mean you're guilty. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I don't know if I would put an ad up like that. I mean, I wouldn't do that. But what I will say is, listen, if the state don't have evidence to prove against my client, we not pleading guilty no matter what may have happened. And so that's just a cautionary tale of you may come in thinking something gonna go boom, 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 1, 2, 3, and before you know it, it blew up in your face. And so Ms. Bumpus thought she was going to be in and out on an ex parte hearing. It wasn't going to be a big deal. Had no reason to believe that it would cause this explosion. But yeah, that thing blew up in her face. And so now she like, Judge, I need to get off this. I'm filing my motion to withdraw. And at first, the judge ain't want her off the case. That's the little nuances. He didn't want her off the case. He was like, no, you got to follow this rule. You need to file a written motion. You need to give Kenneth Copeland 10 days, all this kind of stuff, until one of the lawyers in the back said, Judge, listen, I think according to the law, if Kenneth Copeland says he don't want her to represent him anymore, she can be removed. And so eventually the judge allowed Ms. Bumpus to be removed. And so Ms. Bumpus, if you saw her when she was trying to get off and Judge Glanville didn't let her off, she was upset, a little disenchanted. You could tell it was getting to her because she was really trying to get out of this situation. Again, she just came in to stand in. And so the last question she asked the judge before she walked out the courtroom is, Judge, is that all for me? And if I could steal the words of Lee Counsel off of College Game Day, the judge said, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast, my friend. I need you to report back to the courtroom on June 25th. Yeah, mark that in your calendar. Why does she have to report back on June 25th? He just let her go. What's going on June 25th? He said, I need you to report for a rule to show cause. Remember, he has reason to believe she's the mole. I don't know if everybody caught that. He has reason to believe. He like, ain't nobody, there's no way that information came from our court reporter, Miss Love, the deputies, but I don't even know you. You inserted yourself into this case. He didn't say it on the record. All he said is, I need you to report back to court on June 25th. And if you saw Miss Bumpus' demeanor, you could tell she knew it wasn't all over. Yeah, young lawyers, you got to be careful because now she has subjected herself to a potential bar complaint because he's going to fish. The judge will fish for that information. And listen, I don't want to suggest or insinuate that Ms. Bumpus was the mole or Ms. Bumpus was the source who leaked all the information. It could have very well been her reporting to Mr. Melnick. Remember, Mr. Melnick was the initial attorney for Mr. Copeland, right? She could have told him. Remember, Adrian Love was saying Melnick and all the other defense lawyers were buddy-buddy. It seemed like he was more loyal to their claim as opposed to Kenneth Copeland. So it could be a situation. And listen, I'm not saying, I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't in that room. But it could have been a situation where Ms. Bumpus was basically telling Mr. Melnick what happened in that room. And Mr. Melnick went back and told Brian Steele. You got to remember, at the end of the day, these are all defense lawyers. And so now Ms. Bumpus got herself in a pickle, y'all. And I don't want to come down on her. We've all been there. As lawyers, we've made decisions that we want back. We done jumped on things that we thought it was going to be boom, boom, 1, 2, 3. And you look up, it done blew up in your face. It just so happened for Ms. Bumpus, the stage is big. The lights are bright. And so now they talking about it all on YouTube and you're fired. Because think about it, she really ain't do a whole lot. The meeting lasts for what, an hour and a half? Fired. Might be looking at a potential bar complaint. Judge Glanville ain't letting that go. So you got to be careful when you get involved in some of these situations and you just filling in for a lawyer. No, if I don't know the nature of the circumstances, I'm good. I'm good. Just like Kenny Copeland said when he fired you. I'm good. Yeah, meanwhile, Melnick, he chilling. Jerk chicken, escoffice fish, you dig? Pina colada, ice cream all day. Yeah, he chilling. He ain't worrying about this trial. That's the least of his worries right now. You got to be careful. But anyway, let's get back to Brian Steele. Brian Steele is now being held in contempt. And listen, y'all, I told y'all it was going to be intense. Right? The words of the renowned criminal defense lawyer, F. Lee Bailey, may he rest in peace. I never forget in one of his books, To Be a Trial Lawyer, he said, courtroom drama makes great theater every day of the week. And you better believe, y'all, I don't care what Hollywood writing about. You can't get a screenwriter. You can't get a director, a producer. I don't care. You can't make up what's unfolding right before your eyes this week in the ATL. Oh, yes. You can't make that up. This ain't acting. This ain't a script. This real life. I never forget, I was delivering a closing argument for my client, a murder case. I'm going in, y'all. Hard case. They done presented evidence that my client done stabbed his wife over 40 times. Hard case, y'all. I'm going in arguing for manslaughter. I'm like, this not second-degree murder. He doesn't deserve life. This manslaughter. Something happened in that room with his wife and that other male that made him lose it. I'm going in, y'all. And after it was over with, one of the jailers was like, Kenneth, bro, you watch too much Law and Order. I said, hold up, dog. That's not what it is, cuz. It's the other way around. Law and Order watch us. You see, we not actors. We not putting on the show. This is real life. You got to have the call and you got to have the gusto. Sometimes you just feel it. And what you saw from Brian Steele was a lawyer advocating for his client. He came with the emotion. Did you see it? Did you see when the judge say, listen, I need you to go in a holding cell because you're not giving me the information I'm asking for? So Brian Steele, he's taking off his tie. He's taking off his coat because he don't mind going in a holding cell. He don't mind going spend multiple weekends. He ain't tripping. You not getting this information. So as Brian Steele is on his way to the holding cell, he got his tie off, he got his coat off, but he at the podium said, Judge, I just need you to know that Mr. Williams, my client, does not want to proceed without me. And if you do proceed, I'm asking for a mistrial. Yeah. Keith Adams, my co-counsel, is here, but Mr. Williams does not want to proceed without me. And I need you to know for the record, no tie, no jacket, he on his way to the holding cell. That's zealous advocacy. Oh, yes. That's not acting. That's not film writing. That's not a script. That's passion, y'all. And so he's not troubled. He's not worried about the consequences of him revealing the source because he know he got lawyers backing him up, i.e. Ashley Merchant. Ashley Merchant comes on as a cameo from the Trump case, representing Michael Rome, a co-defendant of the Trump case. She happens to be the president of GACTO. GACTO stands for Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. She the presidente. She come in there and she said, Judge, I represent Mr. Steele and I just need you to know, can you make space? Because I got about 20 to 25 lawyers here to support Mr. Steele. and she coming at the judge. Hold up, judge, you found Mr. Steele in contempt. Is that criminal contempt? Is that civil contempt? Because if it's going to be criminal, he got to have a hearing. He has the right to call witnesses. And I ain't hear all that. She letting the judge have it. The judge is befuddled. He's scratching his head. He don't know what to do. What did I do? You won't put a criminal defense lawyer in jail for zealously representing his client, and you think, oh, I got the black robe on, it's done? I get the final say so? No. I got my lawyers. It's a tight-knit family. You gonna take me away from my family? I took the oath to represent my client. How I make a living, how I feed my kids. You gonna put me in jail for doing what I'm passionate about? And to make a long story short, Ashley Merchant, and there was another standing side by side with her, a white male with a long ponytail. Let me tell you something. You see a criminal defense lawyer with a long ponytail? Oh, it's on. It's on. It's on. So they going at the judge, and the judge don't know what to do. He like, listen, give me 5 minutes. He didn't came back in 35 minutes. He said, yeah, well, I'm going to go with my ruling. I'm going to hold him in contempt, but I'm not going to force him to divulge the information because according to the law, he was only supposed to sentence him. Ms. Merchant like, can we get a bond? Oh, no, I'm not giving you that. All right. All right, fast forward. Ms. Merchant went all the way to the higher court, appealed the decision, asking for a bond. The court stayed the matter, meaning, hold up, we ain't doing nothing with it. We gonna stay this. Mr. Steele does not have to do jail time over the weekend. Let's review all this. Yeah, Judge Glanville, you don't get the final say so. You won't put a lawyer in jail? You better make sure you do it right. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So you had a lot going on, y'all. Kenneth Copeland is on the stand right now. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up, y'all, because I got a lot. But Kenneth Copeland is on the stand, and he don't know what to do. He trying to survive moment by moment, bit by bit, because they got all his interviews. Miss Hilton is asking questions. You don't remember. And I don't remember. I don't know. I got bad hearing. I got bad sight. I don't know what you're talking about. What else can you do? What else can you do? They got your interviews from 2015. They done got you implicating Young Thug and Shannon Stillwell and DeMonte Kendrick and a whole bunch of other dudes. Yeah, so what can you do, right? All you could do is, I don't recall. I don't know. So you get dumb responses. What you talking about, huh? Can you define gang? Can you define group, right? You getting dumb questions like that, right? What can you do? You stuck. You done. But Miss Hill has to ask them questions because she keep pulling up that interview. So it's going to be a while with him, and then the defense lawyers are going to have an opportunity to cross-examine him. That's probably going to happen sometime next week. But, y'all, this thing on and popping. But, yeah, the Supreme Court, as we speak now, Brian Steele does not have to report to jail this weekend. There's a stay on that ruling, and we're going to be hearing from the higher courts. And I don't know if you noticed, but it just seems like the judge kind of lost his juice a little bit, right? It seemed like that cape he thought he had on. I don't know. You just don't. He's not as firm as he was Monday morning. I don't know. It just feels like if Brian still going in, and he kind of letting them have it. So I don't know if just the judge just like, man, this week just went off the rails, and I need to get everybody back under control. We didn't spend too much time on this trial for things to just unravel like this. I don't know, y'all, but I told y'all it was going to be on and popping, but I would have never dreamed that it would have been a week like this, y'all. It is fascinating. I'm telling you, y'all, this week right here was a movie. It's a movie this week by itself. So that's my time, y'all. Keep tuning in. Keep supporting me. I appreciate all the love. I need some more subscribers, y'all. Sometimes I be wanting to go live and just run it. But according to YouTube, I need 1,000 subscribers. So y'all help me out with that. For all my podcasters, I'm not going to forget about y'all. Every now and then, I just want to go live when something is fresh, y'all. That's all. So keep letting folks know about me. Share, like. all that great stuff. Again, I appreciate the support, and that's my time, y'all. Love.
Call your first witness. I got Kenneth Willis. He bought his business, he gon' take it the distance. Listen, he giving gaming, believe in high level representation. Call your first witness. Yeah, call your first witness.
Griff has been paid for this endorsement.